Hey everybody, Jason Golden, the Golden Realtor with episode 2 of Real Estate News, Keeping It Golden. I was reading an article about Black buyers twice as likely to be denied mortgages due to low appraisals. And I wanted to share with you highlights from a recent study by Freddie Mac and a few recommendations for you, the consumer. So Freddie Mac, a government-sponsored enterprise that buys primarily conventional mortgages in the secondary market, found a significant appraisal gap between homeowners in predominantly Latino or Black neighborhoods in comparison to white neighborhoods. I'm going to share with you a few of those highlights in this particular research study. Valuation gaps in home purchase appraisals. I will leave the link so that you're able to follow through and read more information regarding this study. But it starts off as follows. To follow up on several stories of potential appraisal and the biases in various news outlets, Freddie Mac kicked off a study of whether minorities are more likely to receive an appraisal value that is lower than the contract price during purchase transactions. What you will find out is that, yes, it is. The first thing that they asked was, is there an appraisal gap in minority neighborhoods? They found that appraisers' opinions of values are more likely to fall below the contract price in Black and Latino census tracts, and the extent of the gap increases as the percentage of Black or Latino people in the census tract increases. You may ask, well, this may not be in the Dallas area. They analyzed the top 30 metropolitan statistical areas. For our area, Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Dallas, Plano, and Irving. The second thing they asked was, is there an appraisal gap for minority applicants? Black and Latino applicants receive lower appraisal values than the contract price more often than white applicants. In this section, and again, you have the link so you can go look into it, they use the minority status designated by applicants on their mortgage applications to examine the difference between Black and Latino applicants that would purchase a home in more concentrated neighborhoods with Blacks or Latino versus white applicants that applied for a mortgage loan in Black or Latino, more concentrated Black and Latino neighborhoods as well. And there was a significant gap. The third item that they asked was, are the appraisal gaps for minority tracts driven by only a small fraction of appraisers? An analysis of the group of appraisers with enough observation in both minority tracts and white tracts to yield valid T statistics reveals that a large portion of appraisers are generating statistically significant gaps. The next point that they addressed was what causes the appraisal gap. The exploratory research to begin to understand what causes the observed gaps for minority versus white tracts. They looked at comp distance, comp reconciliation, comp variance, and purchaser overpayment. The first thing they looked at was comp distance. Comp distance is the average distance in miles between the subject property, which would for a homeowner be their property, and the comps listed in the appraisal report. What they found was the average distance between a subject property and its comps is substantially smaller when the property is in a Black and Latino tract than in a white tract. Then there was comp reconciliation. The comp reconciliation metric is defined as the appraised value minus lowest comp divided by the highest comp minus lowest comp. What they found was the properties in Black and Latino tracts tend to be reconciled toward the lower end of the comp range compared to those in white tracts, although the dollarized amount is small. Comp variance. It measures the difference between the highest and the lowest sales price of the comps expressed as a percentage of the contract price. It found that there is more variation in the sales price of comps used in appraisals for properties in Black tracts than white tracts, but there is less variation for Latino tracts. They then looked at purchase overpayment. And they found that the estimates of overpayment by Black and Latino home buyers are modest and consequently would not explain the observed appraisal gap. And lastly, the fifth item that they addressed was, does the race and ethnicity track flag explain appraisal gaps beyond structural and neighborhood characteristics? Their preliminary modeling results suggest that even when taking structural and neighborhood characteristics into consideration, a property is more likely to receive an appraisal lower than the contract price if it is in a minority census tract. So again, I will share the link so that you can delve more into the data, but these are just high points that I wanted to point out that were found in the study that was conducted by Freddie Mac. So now you may ask, what can we do about this information? Well, in the wake of this disheartening and recurring behavior, I wanted to share a few pointers that may help you, the consumer, when it's time to sell your home, so that you can avoid possibly getting a lower appraised value and or what to do to address it if it does happen. Number one, remove family portraits and personal images as part of the preparation for listing your home for sale. No, you don't have to do this. And yes, this is a big ask. I mean, it is your house and you are looking to sell it. But if in the end result is a higher appraised value and you possibly can help avoid having this discrimination or bias against you, I think that it'll be worth it. Not only that, there have been some instances in California and Illinois where that homeowners would remove all of the portraits and pictures of a Black and brown family, replace them with a white family, and the appraised value was actually higher. I'm not asking you, and you should not have to do these things, but this is just a pointer again to possibly help get you the highest value for your home when it's time to get appraised. Number two, decorate your home with abstract and generic art where possible. Again, this infringes on you and your beautiful home. But what we're trying to do is maximize your appraised value. Number three, work with the realtor that has some experience and knowledge on appealing an appraisal if it is drastically undervalued. There are some of us that know how to make the appeal and what the process looks like. You want to work with the realtor that knows how to do this, and that might mean sometimes asking the question as you're talking with your realtor to see if they've experienced this, and if so, how they can address it. And number four, this is not directly to homeowners, but it's something to take away from this. Explore becoming an appraiser. 85% of appraisers were white in 2018, and 78% were men. If there is more diversity amongst the pool of appraisers, it would certainly help to reduce instances of bias and discrimination. Now, there are thousands of great appraisers that do not practice any bias or prejudices, and I both appreciate and acknowledge them. But for those out there that do, these are a few recommendations for you homeowners who can potentially avoid this. I'm Jason Golden, the Golden Realtor, keeping it golden. Until next time, be blessed.